org. Luis, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, everyone.
So we have a great opportunity today to spend the next hour hearing from Luis, our prevention specialist at the Council on Compulsive Gambling, on emotional intelligence and sustained recovery and why it's important. You know, this has been a crazy year to say the least, and so, but at least we get a chance to go out with hopefully some good information to help make us just more aware, and also just to kind of get in touch with our own feelings and our own emotions just a little bit more, and maybe even a strategy or two, a nugget or two to help, that we can take away and apply, maybe even during the holidays, because we know they can be hectic for a lot of people. A couple of housekeeping items. These everyone should be on mute when they enter the webinar. If there's questions or dialogue, I'll be monitoring the chat. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Feel free to use the Q&A. We'll be conducting a few polls during the next hour or so, just to gauge some response and keep track of some activity, and kind of launch us into various discussion points. So we're glad you're here. I don't want to take up too much of Luis's time because he is the main reason that you're all here. So Luis, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to turn my video off, put myself on mute, and I'll be in the background. If you need something, give me a shout.
Thank you very much, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Good morning again. My name is Luis del Orbe, and like Dan mentioned, I am a problem gambling prevention specialist for the Council on Compulsive Gambling. First, I would like to say thank you for being here. I saw some names that are very much familiar. Ms. Neva Pryor, who is our executive director. Thank you, Ms. Neva, for joining us. Ms. Alice, and some of the other members and the staff from the Council of Compulsive Gambling. I also see Ms. Marjorie from the Center of Prevention here in Newton. Hey, Ms. Marjorie, hope everything is well. And I see Ms. Mindy Pagan as well, who is, she works for the Passaic School District, Passaic Public Schools, as a counselor. So this morning, we'll be talking about emotional intelligence, EQ, or EI, as it's most known, and how important being able to apply the principle of emotional intelligence to be able to sustain recovery. First, I would like to talk about the council and what we do. You know what, before I go on, what I would like to do is I'm going to, just for the purpose of being able to make sure that the integrity and it goes out to you smoothly, I am going to turn off my video because just we know most of the time how technology can sometimes go awry. So the Council of Compulsive Gambling, one of the things that we would like everyone to know is we're not for nor are we against gambling. We do believe that gambling is a form of entertainment, and that's what most people do. However, we are here to make sure that those individuals who fall within the problem gambling area know that there is help. That they're not alone. They're not alone in their journey. They're not alone in the struggle. There's way to be able to, there's help out there, and we're here to do it. You know, one of the services that we provide is throughout the state, we train providers, individuals who have licenses, whether social workers, drug counselors and such, to be able to provide services statewide for individuals who do call out for help and are ready for help. So listen, if you're someone you know has a problem gambling, please give us a call because you're not alone, okay? You're not alone in your struggle. We are here to help. A couple of things, obviously to improve our bandwidth, we just ask everyone, you know, if you have extra windows open on your computer, if you close them, sometimes that helps. The PowerPoints are going to be available for anyone who wishes to have the PowerPoint. Just please send me an email. You will have my email. I'm pretty sure most of you do already, but a lot of you have my email. Just send me a request and I'll be happy to send you the PowerPoints. This is a discussion. I am not here to simply talk at you or for us to just have some sort of where I'm just giving you information. We're having a discussion. I very much welcome your comments, your questions. The fact is we're a community. And if we share with each other, we will be able to better understand what we're talking about. Listen, I am a product of mentoring. And sometimes when we share information, when we share our experiences, that is part of mentoring. So I welcome your questions. I welcome your comments. Dan, please feel free to cut it at any time. If somebody I'm not able to stay up with the questions and comments, so please, if somebody asks a question, just come in and let us know because it's good for everyone to share, okay? Like Dan said, the recording of this webinar will be available on our website, okay? So this is some of the things that we want to work out. So at the end of this course, I am hoping to be able to give you a basic understanding of how emotional intelligence works, okay? And how we can assist individuals who are in recovery. But later on, we're going to, one of the things I just want to mention before, emotional intelligence is not just for individuals who are in recovery, although it's a very helpful tool. And we'll discuss that later on, okay? And how we use emotional intelligence practice, to prevent an intervention. Okay, intervention is most important once the things happen, but in prevention is even better. And hopefully just have the basic knowledge of how to attain a higher level of EQ. These are very important definitions. Okay, first of all, what is recovery? Okay, according to Samson, the recovery is the process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Now think about that. Under that definition, should we not all consider ourselves in recovery? I mean, who is not striving to reach their full potential? So therefore, this conversation that we're having here is all of us. This is not about other people. This is us, every single one of us. So this is why in addressing and in providing certain information, I am going to refer to as we, I, because sometimes, we have to start with the self, okay? So consider ourselves under this definition, we should all consider ourselves to be in recovery. Emotional intelligence, EI, or emotional quotient, which is EQ, is really known for as EQ. A lot of people know that as EQ, is the ability to identify your own emotions and the emotions of others and use this information to guide behavior. We're going to be talking about different subjects and different things when it comes to emotional intelligence. But no, due to the fact that when it comes to emotional intelligence, a lot of it is directed from within ourselves out to those around us. So emotional intelligence, the foundation of emotional intelligence is empathy. And that's what we're going to be regarding to, and this is what I'm going to be directing when it comes to that. Now, many of you have probably heard of the book by Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence. And I mean, Mr. Goleman, he wrote this book in 1995. Emotional intelligence has been around way before 1995. And we understand this. But Mr. Goleman sort of coined the definition of emotional intelligence, and it sort of started a movement. And a lot of people got into it. Emotional intelligence is mainly used when it comes to leadership, okay? So this picture here, I selected this picture from one of the story that Mr. Goleman has in his book. And it talks about a belligerent samurai. And I'm pretty sure many of you who have read the book know the story. So in this classic book, Emotional Intelligence, Daniel Goleman shares a story of a belligerent samurai who challenges a Zen master. So he went to the Zen master. He asked the Zen master to explain to him the concept of heaven and hell. The monk replies, "You're nothing but a lout. Why would I waste my time with the likes of you?" So now the samurai, feeling insulted, he flew into a rage. I mean, he was very upset. So what he did was he pulled his sword and yelling at the Zen master, he said, I could kill you for impertinence. So he lifted the sword. When he was about to strike the monk said, that is hell. So the samurai stepped back and he realized he wasn't to kill the monk. That wasn't his intention. However, his emotions, the rage that he flew in, was going to make him act outside of the intentions that he was there for. He realized his mistake, and what he did was he put his sword away, he bowed to the monk, and thanking the monk, he says, I apologize for what I was about to do. And the monk replied, and that is heaven. So with that story, we're talking about being able to recognize when we are in a certain state of mind, when an emotion comes in and attacks us and agitates us in such a way that we're acting outside of ourselves. Okay? And that's the purpose of the story. The purpose of the story is to let you know that you, your mind, your way of thinking, your emotions can sometimes create a situation that is not what you intended to do. And that was the monk's explanation of how he explained the feeling of heaven, the concept of heaven and hell to this monk, to the samurai. Now, Dan, I would like to know the audience. I would like to know how our audience is made up. Is it possible for us to launch the first question here?
Absolutely, Luis. Great story. And actually, Dr. Shabazz kind of chimed in before I launched the poll and said, recovery is also about instilling hope. And that's so true. Hope is like that little pilot light, that little fire that burns within, and then it just kind of spreads to the rest of one's being. And, hope is so powerful. So that was good point, Dr. Shabazz. I'm going to launch that poll for you, Luis.
Thank you, Dan.
So do you see the poll, Luis? Do you see it now? The attendees
Yes, I do.
are now viewing the question. So the polling question is,
yes,
how much, go ahead.
It says how much knowledge you feel you have on the topic of emotional intelligence. This question is basically just it's for me to know my audience. We'd like to know how much knowledge you have in this area.
Great. We're about halfway there. Take a moment and answer that question. That's good. I'm glad that no one's selecting the last one. I have no idea what this is about, but it sounded cool. Those are some of the changes we had to ad lib and make, Luis.
Yes.
All right, 75% complete. Luis, you let me know when you'd like me to end the polling.
About 5 more seconds, and we can keep continuing.
Oh, okay. All right, we're going to end the polling now, and it looks like you see the results there. 26% know it very well and incorporate it into the daily routine, and 3/4 know a little bit but need to learn more. So there you go.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now, this gives us an idea of more or less where our audience is. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Okay, now that we know, the audience and more or less where we are, let's get into what is IQ and what is EQ. Listen, like Mr. Gomez's book, sometimes it says that EQ is better than IQ. You're going to find, if you're going to search this topic, you're going to find thousands and thousands of articles. There have been over 4,000 academic articles written about IQ and EQ. And a lot of times there's an argument that IQ is higher than EQ. We're talking about recovery. And in recovery, we're striving for balance. So this discussion is not whether IQ is higher than EQ or whether EQ is preferred over IQ. We're striving for balance. Okay, so IQ is the ability to understand and process information. Okay, you have heard studies where they say sometimes the higher your IQ, the lower your emotional intelligence is, and vice versa. So emotional intelligence, it determines our ability to control and identify our emotions and how we interact. Balance is what we're striving. You know, in the military, you ask any grunt, any soldier out in the field, would he prefer a leader out in the field that has a high IQ or a leader that has a high EQ? Okay, most of the time, that soldier will tell you, you know, especially with the sergeant, he said, I want a field leader who's going to be high in IQ because that leader would know how to connect with me and would know how I feel in certain situations. But listen, a sergeant, a field sergeant might be high in EQ, whereas the officer in charge might have a high IQ or vice versa. However, as a soldier out in the field, I want a leader who will give me a plan of how I'm going to get home to my family. And then I would like a leader on the field who will guide me through whatever situation I'm going to be through so I can apply my emotional intelligence to be able to get home to my family after the conflict is over. So this is why I tell you, we striving for a balance of IQ and EQ. That's what we're striving for. Okay? Now, I'm pretty sure many of you have heard the definition emotional fitness. Emotional fitness is the ultimate goal. Okay? Emotional fitness is not the same as emotional intelligence. Emotional fitness is where we want to go. Take a bodybuilder. Okay, training is emotional intelligence. Achieving the goal that you want, the reason why you're training, that becomes emotional fitness. It is not the same thing. Okay, for me to understand and be able to identify my emotions is not the same thing as me being able to come up with a quick solution when the earth is crumbling beneath my feet. Okay, that's what we want to strive for. So emotional fitness is our ultimate goal in our path. Addiction. Okay, whether it's a behavioral addiction like gambling, illicit drugs, alcohol, and other prescription medication, drug addiction can affect anyone of any background and of any social economic status. And there are many different addictions out there. Codependency, food, eating, there's a lot of eating disorder, gambling, okay? These are behavioral addictions where you're not putting a substance into your body. However, that addiction can control your life. So here we're striving to be able to understand what's going on with us, be able to label what's going on with us, be able to deal with whatever situations come with us without us having to depend on a substance or an action to be able to help us deal with whatever stressors is affecting us. Okay, so addiction is everywhere. So we all need to be very vigilant into what we do. Okay, these now we have heard that, you know, as clinicians, as people that are in the field of recovery, we have heard of all sorts of reasons why people can indulge and act against themselves, be able to engage in self-destructive behavior. Okay, we just like the feeling of it. Sometimes, you know, we want to mimic what we see. You know, we know when it comes to children that the first 7 years of life are most crucial because children absorb everything. So sometimes a child seeing someone act in a certain way, you know, can tend ultimately to also engage into that behavior. You know, peer and social pressure is very damaging if you do not know how to handle those emotions. that are coming in your way. You know, grieving the death, being able to understand what is going on with you, why you're feeling a certain way. Grieving and sadness, we're going to talk about that later on. But sometimes people do it relaxation. You know, when I go talk and give presentations to individuals who are in recovery, a lot of them will tell me, listen, I just like it. I get high because I like it. There is nothing to it, you know, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. If you're able to self-regulate, you know, sometimes you might be discouraged not to act in a self-destructive way. Okay, so here we're looking at the three main factors that contribute to self-destructive behaviors. Okay, emotional, of course, we just get involved in certain things because of the way we're not able to handle whatever situation coming our way. Trauma is part of emotion, something that you have lived through. Not have someone be able to process that trauma with you can be very damaging, and it can show up in many negative ways later on in life. The physical aspect of it, you just like the way something makes you physically feel, okay? And psychological, okay? These are just general feelings of, you know, inadequacy towards ourselves and the world, or just the way we deal with people, okay? So these are just three main factors. All those other factors that you saw before, all these factors, and these are just some, this is not all of them, this is just some, all these factors can be put into these three categories. Now, here's an important aspect here. Emotional literacy. This is most important. We can practice many things, but can we read our emotions? Can we understand what our emotions are trying to tell us? So a very big part of emotional intelligence is being emotionally literate, being able to understand this. Dan, I think this might be a good question, a good point here for our second polling question, if possible.
Absolutely. Can you hear me well, Luis? I had some static before.
It's a bit staticky, but I can hear you very well.
I'll launch the poll. You do the reading.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so here's a question. Now, there's actually three statements that comprise this one question, and we just want to respond one way. Okay? I lose my temper when I feel frustrated. I know how to calm myself down when I feel upset or anxious. I can recognize when I am experiencing a negative emotion. Take these three and answer it in one of the four options. We could give it a good 10 seconds then.
Yeah, Abby doesn't see the poll. It's launched, it's on the screen. Okay, good. Thank you, Abby. 62%.
Yeah, this is important because it's sort of, this is sort of a self-evaluation, and you have to be true to yourself.
Okay. All right, Luis. I will end the polling here with 68% there, and there you go. Half the group, 51% of the people said sometimes, 43% of those that answered said often, and just 5% said rarely.
Nice.
Excellent.
So, like I said, this is something that basically helps us understand how we're feeling. Okay. So you want to have emotional literacy in being able to read into your emotions. Okay. So what is an emotion? Now, real quick, I want to take the time now to tell you the difference, because sometimes, you know, you're dealing with emotions and you're dealing with feelings. Okay. please understand that emotions and feelings are two totally different things. Okay. An emotion can create a feeling. Take the feeling of being, let's say, fearful, of being afraid. The emotion of fear can create for you to have the feeling of being scared. Okay. Scared is not an emotion. Being scared is a feeling. And that small emotion of being scared was produced by fear. Okay. Because you gotta understand emotions, as in my research, it says that an emotion goes through your body, and an emotion actually only lasts about 90 seconds. And then you process it. And then you go through. Now, depending on your emotional intelligence, that emotion can last inside of you very long time. You can keep it with you a very long time, for days sometimes. And some emotions can be very damaging. Okay, so being emotionally literate, what do we have to read into? Okay, first of all, let's find out what an emotion is. An emotion is emotion. E for energy, motion for movement. Okay, it is an energy that's moving through our body. It passes through our body. Now, we have a thought, it produces a feeling, and we act. The samurai of the story that I told you, he went there for totally different intentions. His purpose of going to the Zen master was not to kill him or hurt him. But what the Zen master told him created a thought within him that this man was disrespecting him by, saying what he did. That thought came into his brain. That thought produced a feeling, and then it prompted him to act. In recovery, this is what we do. In recovery, we have certain thoughts that produce certain feelings, and sometimes we don't know how to deal with those feelings. So we act a certain way. We want to make sure that we're able to be able to handle those emotions, be able to handle the feelings that it produces, and then for us to act in such a way that is not self-destructive, for us to act a way that is good for us. Okay, so understand what an emotion is. There's all part of emotional literacy. Understand what an emotion is. Okay, are we able to read what the emotions are telling us? For instance, and I just put 5 emotions here. A lot of them, there's a whole lot more out there. But let's take the emotion of anger. If you're angry, what is angry telling you? Being angry, I want you to think of the word stop. I want you, if you feel that emotion of anger, think of stop. Anger is telling you to stop. Something is wrong. Something needs to be stopped. Now, different people feel emotions in a different way. Okay? Different people will carry it. Some people carry anger in their fists. Some people carry anger in their jaw, on their shoulders. This is why sometimes if we're angry, if we have that negative feeling that gives us that anger, at the end of the day, we feel exhausted. If we did not deal with that anger in a positive way, it literally breaks us down. So a person that might carry their anger in their fist might tend to fight. So anger is telling him to stop. And if he's carrying his anger in his fist, the way for that person, he or she, to stop the source of the anger is to fight, is to punch it. Okay? So anger might do that. Fear. I consider fear, out of all the emotions, I consider fear to be the wisest of our emotions. And I'll tell you why. Fear tells us to wake up. Something is going on. You got to pay attention. When you're experiencing that fear, what the fear is doing is putting you on alert. It could be a noise. It could be something you walked in. That fear now is producing a sense of anxiety, a feeling of anxiety. Okay, well, what is making you anxious? Well, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what? Fear is a very wise emotion. Do not shy away from it. Get yourself lost in fear. Look for it. What is making you afraid? Sadness. Listen, here sadness is where we can connect grief to. Sadness tells you that it's something to let go of. Sadness tells you to think about maybe something is ending. It could be a relationship. It could be an old idea. Some people become depressed in sadness. Maybe you want to let go of an old lifestyle. Maybe it's time for you. Maybe you have realized you have been in your addiction for a little too long, and it's time to let it go. You're going to have a sense of sadness. Sometimes people are sad for no reason. Okay? But sadness tells us it's time to move on. Listen, maybe we're grieving someone's death. Maybe we're grieving a loss we had in our life. And sometimes we get stuck in that sadness because we just don't know how to grieve for that loss. Being able to move on, being able to let go of an old idea, being able to move on after a loss does not mean that you forget about the person or the object that is causing the sadness within you. If you remember it, if you carry it in your heart, if you carry it in who you are, that person, that object, that being will always be with you. Moving on is not forgetting. Moving on just means that you can't just stay stuck there. You have a life to live. You have to go. Okay? I spent a little more time in sadness there because sadness, in the time that we're in right now, the pandemic, a lot of the stuff has stopped within our life. So sadness is something that surrounds us on a daily basis. And we have to identify, we have to label it. We have to get into it and be able to deal with it in a productive way. This way it does not manifest itself in a negative way down the line. Okay? Joy. What is joy? Joy is happiness. Something is to be celebrated. If you're feeling joy, you're celebrating something. Maybe it's a new relationship. Maybe you're happy that you met someone, a new job. So you're going to feel joy. Okay. Why are you happy? What's causing this happiness feelings within you? What is the emotion of joy? Or why are you so joyful? So just be able to identify these things. Surprise. Your ability to be able to survive a surprise is how fast you can get out of the shock of being surprised. If you're surprised, you're shocked. Listen, coming into your house and all of a sudden people jump out of the woodwork telling you, surprise, happy birthday. And sometimes people go into shock. There's some, people just, sometimes your body even goes into convulsions. Okay. Being able to identify that and then being able to identify the source of whatever is stimulating you or agitating you is part of the emotion of surprise. So identify it quick, okay, and then deal with it. Now that you're surprised, do I need to run? Do I need to stay and enjoy? I mean, you've seen videos of people coming into a house where they're giving them surprise party, and sometimes they'll run right out the house, okay? That's your primitive brain reacting to the emotion of surprise. Okay, the primitive brain wants you to just run, go. If you figure out if it's safe, then come back. Okay, but being able to get out of that shock as soon as possible will help you, even if you're in a dangerous situation. Okay, a person that means you harm sometimes wants the element of surprise to be in their favor. So they'll attack you from behind, they'll attack you from somewhere. You being able to get out of that emotion as soon as possible will increase your chances of surviving whatever it is that's come your way that's a danger to you. Okay, so being emotionally literate, being able to identify these emotions, what your emotion is telling you, is very important. Okay. Now, here we come to the heart of the matter of what we are. Everything that we have done prior to this point is basically to give us the foundation of where we are. So the importance of EQ in the recovery process. Okay. Look, as we know, what we want for our clients when someone is in recovery, we want our clients to become stronger. We want a client to be able to apply whatever concept. And listen, EQ is not a specific method of recovery. There are many types of recovery methods out there. You have the 12 steps. You have smart recovery. Whatever recovery method you're using, emotional intelligence can be applied to it. Okay. Emotional intelligence can be very healing. We want our client to, in a multi-concept recovery, there's a lot of different tracks to maintaining recovery. But we want recovery to be lifelong. We want to be able to sustain recovery for entire life. Okay. So practice emotional intelligence is the process in recovery that you might want to exercise with clients. It allows the client to process difficult emotions without the use of a drug of choice. Okay. If a person is at a gambling table, like I said before, gambling is a form of entertainment. And gambling addiction can come on really fast, really fast. So take an individual that goes into a casino or buys a lottery ticket or is in a bingo game. And that person is there for entertainment. Bought $50 with him or her, and maybe they set a limit for themselves, but now they lost the $50. Some people cannot walk away. I lost $50. I need to get that back. And sometimes you can sit there, chase those losses, and dive headfirst into an addiction. If you're able to recognize the fact that, listen, I lost $50, maybe it's best if I cut my losses right now. I got another $50 for me to go home and get some food and put some gas in my car. So being able to process that, it's best to walk away. Recovery is long-term. It is lifelong. So it's going to require for you to develop emotional strength to be able to cope with the challenges that are going to come your way. Addictions is having that little voice telling you, listen, I'm agitated. You know where we need to go? We need to feel good. We need to get out of this situation. A lot of people say that marijuana has a I don't care type of effect to it. Let's say someone is sitting home and the electricity bill is due and you're sitting there stressing over how you're going to pay this bill. Some people say, listen, smoke a joint. The joint's going to tell you, after you smoke a joint, pick up the bill and see what happens. You're going to be like, who cares about this bill? Okay. But once you come off that high, that bill's still going to be there. That stress is going to come there. And stress in this type of situation can cause us to relapse within our recovery. Emotional intelligence is a factor to be able to block or be able to prevent certain relapse. So no, you suddenly face it. A lot of us that in lifelong recovery, we're going to have obstacles in front of our way. People are going to come at you and come at you in different ways that sometimes, listen, you can't afford to have a knee-jerk reaction to whatever agitation you're having because you're in that recovery. Okay. Maybe you're on probation. Maybe you're in drug court. The last thing you want to do is do something that's going to cause you to either go back to prison, go back in front of a judge. So emotional intelligence is going to be able to help you deal with those emotions. You got to remember, dealing with emotions, it's not just identifying it. And not just identify the feeling that you caught up in the situation, it's you being able to respond properly and appropriately to the agitation that's coming at you. Okay? Being able to practice emotional intelligence on a daily basis, we will no longer have the need to practice unhealthy coping methods. Fighting, punching someone in the face because they're bothering us. The other day, I was on my way. I drove up to the office. See, one thing that helps me deal with human beings and gives me that thing of human beings. I just love being able to say, I believe in human beings, and this is the way we drive. Mainly, everyone stays in their lane. But one thing drivers have a problem with is merging. Somehow we just don't want people to merge in front of us. 2 lanes are coming into one. Listen, you have to merge. So I saw a situation where there was 2 individuals who refused to give up, and they ended up getting into a car crash just because someone did not want to just slow down. So you're in a hurry to get somewhere, and now you're going to be really slow because now you need to have a police stop and do a police report and all kind of stuff. So you're going to be even later. Okay, just being able to recognize that, hey, 2 lanes are coming into one. Somebody needs to give. Practice emotional intelligence, and you be the one that give. Okay. Sometimes people who are impatient, okay, that is a trigger for them. Looking at this person, oh, he's trying to cut in front of me. One of the things that us human beings we have a problem with, we have a problem of not taking things personal. We tend to take things personal, and that's one thing that emotional intelligence will help you process. That if something's going on, that person coming at you intentionally. Somebody hit you in a car crash. That person did not mean to intentionally try to hurt you. Okay, maybe they just not paying attention. So it makes no sense for you to get out your car and go punch that person in the face because you believe they crashed into you on purpose. Okay, so increasing our EQ will take time. You have to practice every day, every single day. Okay, you must. It's not a hobby. You can't say, okay, I'm going to do this 3 times a week. It's not like working out. It's something you have to practice every single day for the rest of your life. Okay. Now, I saw in the chat, I saw in the participant list that we have a number of young people with us, names that I recognize. And I want to thank you for being there, for being here with us. We have to know that, as parents, we want our children to have a better life. And sometimes some of us think that doing things for them, being able to provide them with what they want instead of what they need is the proper way, okay? Emotional intelligence is a very important and essential tools in being able to help youth self-regulate, okay? The ability to be able to control and redirect. Listen, your children are not going to be under you every single day. They're not. They're going to be away from you for a few. So teaching them emotional intelligence is a great way of prevention. Okay? A young person who shows consideration to loved ones and is compassionate has the ability to understand other people's emotions. And we see that in our kids. Others we do not. We need to provide that food, that fuel to young people. Help, within the family. The first tool of prevention is the family, interaction with the family. Emotional intelligence can be very healing. There are 5 elements to emotional intelligence. You have social skills, motivation. Motivation is most important. A lot of us might think, listen, will I not be better off with no emotions? No, you will not. Because although emotions might have been the cause for the lowest point of your life, although emotions might have been the cause for you experiencing tragedy, although emotions might have been the cause of you suffering and struggling through bad times, emotions is also the cause of your high points in life. Emotions is also the cause of you being in love with someone. Emotions is also the cause of you enjoying life with other people. We need emotions. We want emotions. Emotions, especially the aspect of motivation, is the cause of why you make certain decisions in your life. Yes, decision making is based on emotion. People who have a problem interpreting their emotions and be able to deal with it have a problem making decisions. Okay? Like I told you, empathy is what emotional intelligence is based on. Just being able to identify and understand others' emotions, how you affect other people. Okay? So we want all these aspects of emotions. And here is the low and the high of things. Low emotional intelligence will lead to being aggressive, demanding, bossy. Meanwhile, having high emotional intelligence can lead to a series of positive behaviors. And this is where prevention can come in. This is where training children emotional intelligence can lead them to being well-rounded individual, which can lead them to have good life, good productive life. Dan, I believe we ran low on time, but I believe we have another question. Can we take the time now to throw that last polling question out here?
Absolutely. I love the word glib. I haven't used that word or heard that word in a while. That's a good word, glib.
What word?
Glib, G-L-I-B.
Yes. Yes.
That's a good one. I like that one. That's a funny word. Polling question number 3. This is good stuff, Luis. We definitely have some good active chat as well. Here's the question. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is done in the group. Okay, and consider just one response. Are you still teachable? Do you seek to learn? Do you apologize when you need to? Are you happy with how you model adult life to younger folks, to the youth? Are you happy? So grab that and answer, just give me one, just group it into one response. And then a good 15 seconds should be good. We just want a general idea.
Got it, Luis. Are you able to see the results as they come in?
No, sir.
Okay. So we're another 5 seconds. 80% in. We'll end the polling. So 85% of the people said yes, 2% said no, and 13% said sometimes. That completes polling number 3.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it. All right, so listen, as I mentioned before, this is not a hobby. This is your life. So for those who responded to sometimes, maybe it's just time for you to just a suggestion, just sit down, evaluate who you are, what you do, who you are towards people, how do you affect people? And then try to apply whatever plan you have for the rest of your life every single day. Remember, like I said, it's not sometimes, okay? So when you're lacking emotional intelligence, you're a person that are easily offended. Anybody can tell you anything and it hurts you. We're not able to handle other people's constructive critique. We're not talking about criticism. And listen, this goes the other way. If you're able to be able to deal with people, you'll be able to empathize with people. In being able to give people feedback, one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to criticize. Okay, you don't want to come across as criticizing someone. You want to be able to provide, especially with the youth, especially with children, you want to be able to provide constructive, just be able to critique them properly, okay? So sometimes we struggle. There's some people that hold grudges for years, Why? This is damaging to you. You know, one of the good things what we're doing this that I appreciate that we're doing this at this time, dealing with emotions. Now, it's not just the pandemic. Here we are in a holiday season. Okay, a lot of holidays, especially Christmas, provokes a lot of emotions within us, and a lot of us go out and shop with emotions. There are so many people that during this time of year will put themselves in deeper debt just because of the emotions that are tied to the holidays. Okay, there's just a lot of emotions that are tied to Christmas and being able to provide. You know, we go out there and we make purpose based on emotions. Okay, now listen, emotions are most essential to developing life's attitude, but you don't want to get so caught up in emotion that, you know, after Christmas, it's going to cause you a stressful situation. If you're not able to provide a gift, a phone call sometimes can suffice. You know, I can speak for myself. I have so much stuff stacked up in my place that I don't need any more gifts. I don't need no more shirts. I don't need no more shoes. You know, and definitely the last thing I need is another object to put around the house. So talk to people. And sometimes, you know, we just don't need to be emotionally connected to a gift. Okay. So where do you stand? Okay, where do you stand? Where does your emotional intelligence level is at this time? Okay, how do we increase it? Listen, I told you, this is an everyday thing. You need to acknowledge your thoughts and emotions. Do not walk away from them. Check in with yourself every single day. At the end of the day, try to run down your day. Just run your day down. What did I do? How did I act? Was I positive to someone? Did I provide someone, did I give someone the right answer or the best answer that I possibly could? Under 10 situations, keep yourself calm. You got to remember, if you act with emotions, you might end up doing something that you may regret later on. And you got to practice this every single day. Don't concentrate on the stuff that you don't have. What you don't have, you don't have. But be grateful for what you do have. You know, during this pandemic, we have so many, we have been surrounded with so many deaths. Let's be grateful that we're here. Let's be grateful that we're breathing. Okay. Let's be grateful that we're still here for those who are somehow, some way need us. Okay. Be motivated. Self-motivation is so important. Having a positive attitude. Okay. Practice self-awareness. Not everyone that thinks that they're self-aware are actually self-aware. Okay, so practice that. Be approachable and be social. Like Ms. Neva said, be kind. Being kind to someone does not diminish you. Being kind does not take away from you. Just be kind. If somebody growls at you, smile back. Okay, they're not that important. Smile back. All right, you gotta remember, nobody can become angry. Becoming angry is easy. And this is what, I have a problem. A friend of mine actually wrote Aristotle. I have a problem with saying the name. So she actually wrote it down so I can break it down phonetically. But this is a saying that Aristotle wrote. And remember, Aristotle was around 384 BC. So this is the kind of stuff people were dealing with. So, being angry is easy. But to be angry with someone, to be angry with someone at the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, it's just so hard. There's so many right things that are there. But if we practice emotional intelligence every single day, we can get through this. If we practice emotional intelligence on a daily basis, we're going to come out a better person. So now listen, here at the Council of Compulsive Gambling, yes, we are here for the problem gambler and their families. We are here to help them and to aid them in their recovery, but we're also here for help. Any questions you have, direct it towards us. We're here to help. We can provide information, and these are other information. Like I said, these slides are going to be available, okay? Any questions, any comments, I will greatly appreciate it. Anyone has any comments, you can most definitely email me, and I'll be there. I want to thank everyone. Dan, if you can join us, please. I really want to thank you, Dan. I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you did. I hope we were able to provide good information for everyone in attendance.
Yeah, this has been wonderful, Luis. And how is my sound, Luis? Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we have a question. We have some great comments. Just use the chat if you have a comment or a question. So Steve Ross, thank you for this question. So Steve kind of drew a conclusion, Luis. I want to read you Steve's comment and question and have you address this. So is it safe to say that you believe that increasing EQ is effective because it allows someone to separate from the emotion that's involved in the moment, and then you start to transfer it over to the IQ where they gain more of an understanding of the repercussions of following their emotions?
Okay. The way I will respond to this is not separating. Emotional intelligence wants you to acknowledge your feelings, your emotions. Stay within that emotion. But the way we respond is, to be able to respond in a positive way. But do not detach from your emotions. Do not separate it. That can be very damaging. But yes, increasing one's EQ will definitely help you process information, which goes right into IQ.
Excellent. Excellent. A lot of comment in the chat. A lot of great information. And I apologize for my static, if I'm a little staticky. That you said something that was meaningful to the group, and it was, bear with me one second, let me find it in the chat here. This is not just a hobby, this is our life. I think that was really received by numerous people that picked up on that quote, Luis. It's not just a part-time thing, it's our life that we're talking about here.
Yes.
Marjorie had also said that, we're talking about fear and emotions, and, it can cripple us, that Alice had said, and also it can lead to a way of our bodies expressing an emotional disturbance. I thought that was pretty interesting as well. Emotions also can cause physical sickness in some people.
Almost definitely. Listen, once upon a time, such migraines, there was nothing physically wrong with me. I was causing my migraines by my way of thought, my perception. So the mind can be very healing. This is why being able to practice emotional intelligence during recovery is very healing to someone. Because not only mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, it can be very healing.
And that gratitude's important too. You talked about gratitude, and we talked about the joy of gratitude versus that poison of ingratitude. And which one would you rather have? Would you rather have joy, or would you rather drink poison? I think it's pretty obvious to many people, but it's about practicing it on a daily basis, as you so clearly mentioned. So great stuff. Everyone seemed to really enjoy it, and Luis wonderfully delivered. Great job. And again, I apologize for my choppiness. This recording will be available on our website after we have it uploaded. Give it a week or so with holidays. Luis, many people might be emailing you for a copy of the PowerPoint. I put your email address in the chat so they have it. And stay tuned. In January, we have 2 more webinars coming up from the council, details to follow and to come. But keep an eye out on your inbox and on your social channels so that you can join us in January for additional 1-hour topics. Wishing you and yours a healthy and happy and safe holiday season. We're glad you're here, that we could round out this craziness of 2020 with just a really solid webinar. Luis, great job, great topic. So glad that you brought this one and delivered it just so beautifully. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. Mr. Hogan, I really want to thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm most grateful for, I see a lot of the young people that came in. I see Janelle Gonzalez, who's my niece. The fact that such young people were able to log in and find this, because this is important for your growth. It's very important. Judge Moss, thank you for once again joining us. I appreciate us seeing you. And thank you, everyone. And like Dan said, happy holidays.
Happy holidays all. A wonderful holiday season. We'll see you soon. Have a great day. Thanks again.
Take care. Thank you.